Hello, and welcome to Talk This Way. I'm your host, Marcia Martin, and today we're diving into the world of championship performance and how you can achieve extraordinary results by embracing key values. This episode is called Championship Performance and Values. In today's world, success isn't just about improving a little each day. It's about breakthroughs, going beyond what you thought possible. But how do you create that kind of performance in your life or in your organization? It starts with values, specifically the values that high-performing teams and individuals hold dear. In this episode, I'll share the foundational values that lead to championship results. Values like awareness, responsibility, choice, and willingness. These values are not just words. They are guiding principles that, when embraced, shape your path to success. I'll also take you through the origins of life coaching and how we discovered these values by studying the greatest teams and leaders in the world. By the end of this conversation, you'll have a deeper understanding of how to apply these championship values to your own life and create extraordinary results. So are you ready to step into your championship potential? Let's get started. This is a booklet you're going to get tonight when you leave. It's what I call common values that empower people to produce championship performance. There are, where we want to get to is that you hold as a way of being, a certain way of being valuable. And you come from that. Now you have values. You might say one of your values is truth, or one of your values is integrity, or one of your values is loyalty, or one of your values is faithfulness. You have all of your values that are important to you. What I want to do now is go into the realm of championship performance, whether it's personal or professional. Years ago, so some of you that are into the coaching business now, this will be interesting for you perhaps. In the mid-'70s, we created the coaching industry. What we saw was that most executives and most people had nobody to coach them, but all great sports people did. So there was a group of us that studied what championship was all about and how championship actually came into existence. And what we found was there was a coach. And we thought it was interesting that coaches are for sports teams, but coaches aren't for people. So if you wanted to have a championship life, it seemed natural to us, you should have a coach. So we started creating life coaching. And that started in the mid-'70s. Out of that came the certification programs, the coaching institutes, the Institute for Coaches, all of that. So it's quite remarkable to see in a lifetime, which I have done, an industry actually be created and go to a place where people now say, I want to be a coach, as if it's a real thing, right? And we studied what coaches did and what their values were for successful sports teams. We worked with some of the greatest college coaches, we worked with some of the greatest military coaches, to see what were the values and what were the thinking process, what was the mindset that brought that kind of performance forward, where people were creating breakthroughs, not improvement, but they were champions. What was it? And we came up with values that we saw were the same in all the great teams. We discovered these, we uncovered these, we didn't create these. These were something we went in and observed and found out about and researched, and they emerged. We went, they have that value. Oh, that's important. Oh, they look at life this way. Oh, they look at life that way. And we put them into a way of perceiving and interpreting these values. So there's two things. There's the value itself, then there's the interpretation of what that value actually means. So one of the values, for example, is awareness. We consider awareness to be the foundation of all high-performing teams, families, tribes, organizations. In other words, if it's valuable to you and important to you to open up your awareness, to look and observe how you operate, how you think, what kinds of conversations you have with yourself, what kinds of things trigger you, how you react, how you respond, what your conversation sounds like. That's called being aware of yourself. Most people don't observe themselves. Most people just go through life and wonder what happened. But if you're upset, there's a way to look at the upset if awareness is important to you as a value. So what you might say to yourself, what was it that triggered when I first started feeling upset? What happened? When that happened, what kind of feeling did I have in my body? What kind of emotion did it trigger? When it triggered that emotion, what kind of conversation did I start having in my head? What was I saying to myself? What was I saying to somebody else? How did I feel? How did I react? What did I do? So that you can start to see some trends or some patterns over time. Then we can start getting to some core issues. Is everybody with me still? Okay. Now, these are the values we came up with, and these are the interpretations. So you can look at one of them is responsibility, one of them is choice, one of them is willingness. There's several of them. There are a lot of ways you could look at choice. If I asked 10 people just out on the street, what does choice mean to you? I'd probably get 10 different interpretations. So it's important that it's the value and that you understand what interpretation we have for this value, what it means to us. We have said it needs to mean this. It's not just, okay, choice is a value, whatever you think choice is, live from that and everything's going to be fine. No, we say choice is a value and choice means this. You need to consider this is how you hold choice. This is how you hold commitment. This is how you hold responsibility. And some of these are going to be very different than what you think they are in your own life. But these are what we found in terms of the values themselves, and the interpretations of those values actually are the core of championship performance. We need to embed these inside of your mindset. This interpretation needs to be where you're coming from. So the first step of that is you're going to get this pretty booklet, and it's going to say certain things, and your job tonight is to read it. And to consider this is what you think honesty is, because you're going to come in here in the next few days, and I'm going to say, are you willing to have this as your interpretation of this value? And then, are you willing to make this value important to yourself in terms of, here's where I come from, here's what I take a stand about, here's how I operate in life. And then we can start looking to see, if that were true, what would show up and what would be missing. If that were true and your organization were coming from these values, now look out in your organization and see what's happening that is not here. Okay, so you're going to start being aware of other things, especially for yourself. So your assignment tonight is to read this, and read it with the intention of not knowing what these values mean, but that to discover what this particular interpretation is. And then we'll have some discussions in groups and from the front. Okay?
Thanks for listening to Talk This Way. If you enjoyed the episode, follow the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And for access to training, courses, and other ways to learn from Marcia, visit marciamartin.com. That's MARCIA.